And so, Kate, in the middle of all of this, your husband's diagnosed with leukemia and it's terminal. What does a wife do at that time? You were just sharing about how your church at the time that you were at really rallied around you guys. Just share a little bit about that time of like when you first hear Steve's been diagnosed with terminal leukemia.
Yeah, obviously it was a huge shock to us, and we had Leighton as a little baby, and our life was just beginning. Everything seemed so good. So for this to happen, it was hard to believe. Steve's younger brother actually also had leukemia as a child, so you think that it's never going to happen twice in a family. Our life was on complete hold. Steve actually had a bone marrow transplant. There's a story in that, but when he came home, he actually relapsed after the bone marrow transplant, and he was taken back into hospital, and they thought at first he had encephalitis, and then they said, oh no, that the cancer had come back into his spinal fluid. So he started treatment all over again, and it's a picture up there. We're seeing different things to you, I think. Okay. That's Steve in hospital, looking very, very sick. That was actually while he was having a bone marrow transplant. But anyway, they started treatment again, and they were actually injecting chemotherapy into his spine. And he got so sick, and one day he decided that he couldn't handle anymore, and he said to the doctor, I just want to walk away. I don't want this treatment anymore. So he came home, and that is when the church just came to us and were just there for us for support. They actually gave him 2 weeks to live once he walked away, and 2 weeks to the day, it was actually Friday the 13th. But he had 3 grand mal fits, and this is a picture of him at home after that's happened, and they gave him 2 hours to live. So at that stage, we both come from Christian homes, so our families were there, but also a family of God came in, and our minister at the time, his wife was an intensive care nurse, and so she came in and she actually organised a team of nurses to come in at night to help me so I could sleep. So they'd have a nurse rostered on to do the whole night from about 10 till 6, and they also organised 2 people in shifts to come and pray through the night. So it was just incredible. The guy on your left is actually from America. It's one of Steve's best mates, and he'd actually come out. This is before Steve had the bad turn, and he came out and was there praying, and I remember him marching around our house and jumping the fence and just declaring the glory of God, and just, praying for healing for Steve's body. So, it seems so surreal at the moment. You think back and it seems like a big dream, but, God provides the right people to come and support you with, no matter what you go through in your life.
One of the things you were telling me is, as serious as all this was, one of the most important things was a sense of humour. Perhaps just unpack that a little bit. How did a sense of humour work in a time like this?
Well, I'll start with something else, if that's okay.
Yep.
3 weeks after I was diagnosed with leukemia, I had a visitation of an angel, and I wasn't on any hallucinogens or anything. I was actually on very mild dose chemo until they could find a transplant, which actually came from my father. I was very, very unwell, but as long as I was on low-dose chemo and high-dose painkillers, I was reasonably fine in the first couple of months after diagnosis. The initial pain was unbelievable. Anyway, it was 6 o'clock in the morning, and I woke up, but my eyes were not open, and I could see, as clearly as I can see Steve and Kate, there was this person in a light, and it was embracing me, and it was also covering itself. And I was like, it was just the most glorious thing I ever saw. And I said, "Who are you?" And it said, "I'm an angel, and I'm here to especially minister to you today." And I said, "Don't go away." And it says, "I never do." And there were a lot of people around the world, especially over in the northern parts of Europe, that were cursing me to death because of my involvement in the heavy metal scene, presenting the Christian music. As you probably know, in the underground metal scene, there's a lot of satanic involvement in reaching out to these people. And as much as my band is very much loved, it's very much hated as well. And I suddenly saw this vision that was in front of this angel of 1,000 people. Without the angel saying anything, I knew it was the people that were cursing me to death. And the angel said, "What can man do to you?" And I knew at that point that the worst thing that someone could do to me would be kill me. And to live is Christ and to die is gain, you know. And at that point, I'd had a fair amount of fear in my life, like going over to Europe especially. We'd had some, you know, and even here in Australia, we'd had some really upfront abusive attacks upon our person as we went out and played. And the fear just went away. And at that point, I had no fear of living and I had no fear of dying. I think one thing that kills cancer patients is fear. And of course the opposite of fear is faith. And I think also with that angel visitation, I received a gift of faith, because we have really battled financially since cancer, and the Lord has always provided for us. But you know, I never get concerned about where the money's going to come from. Somewhere it just comes from somewhere, and I'm absolutely convinced that this ministry that the Lord has led me to be involved in is what I'm supposed to be doing, because whenever there's a bill to be paid, it gets paid. And because of my beautiful wife here, we've had a big role reversal, which is hard for a male not to be able to provide for his home. Kate is the breadwinner, and I was declared unemployable 9 years ago because I am an L4 paraplegic, and I have 50% eyesight, I have 44% kidney function, I have paralysed digestive system, paralysed waterworks. There's so many things wrong with me. I have enlargement of the heart condition, and the Lord gives me strength to get up and play. And in 1997, just with leukemia, they said maximum 10 years, so that's 2007. So even with getting the spinal fluid, whether it was cancer or whatever the problem was, twice, which has made me into an L4 paraplegic, I'm still moving on with an enormous amount of body damage. But just with this, you know, when the government declared me unemployable, I said, I'm just going to work full time for God and put everything into. And I just get emails from all over the world. People say, because of your story of your pain, I am able to deal with my pain and follow Jesus, because I live in, you know, the back blocks of near the Brazilian jungle, the Amazon jungle, or in Peru or whatever, and life is all about suffering. But I know that in my suffering that I can follow Jesus, and I have found Jesus, and thousands of people have come to faith in Jesus through this mission that we've had. And the fact that I've ended up suffering, and we've ended up suffering so much, has in a very, very interesting way not only blessed people but seen a lot of people saved. And Kate and I had the most tremendous amount of opportunities in hospital, witness to people. And we did laugh a lot in hospital. I mean, Steve was alluding before to a humour. Kate will tell you that I laugh about anything. And I tell you what, I went through some extreme pain after the bone marrow transplant. There was one night when I vomited till my eyes popped out of my head. Actually came out of the sockets of my head. That's how extremely ill I was. And I was always trying to get Kate to video everything. Early on in my cancer treatment, I had to have a blood property called platelets, which sent me into a fit. And I said, and they had to give me pethidine. As soon as the fit came on, they'd give you platelets that would make you fit. Just it does it to everyone because it's a foreign body. And so they get you all prepared, and they put pethidine in your arm because pethidine will make the fit stop. And I said, no, don't give me the pethidine until Kate films the fit. And they go, oh, you're a crazy man. And I said, no, I'm going to make the best reality video clip any band's ever done, because it'll be here. I'll be standing up playing, and then in the middle of the clip there'll be me having this big fit, so the camera's on, and they give me the platelets, and I start having this fit, and the red light goes off, and Kate's in tears. I'm going, turn it back on, and just having a sense of humour about things, and I was really disappointed that Kate didn't film it when my eyes popped out of my head. I mean,
You're all glad I didn't, aren't you?
no, we could have been the biggest band in the world. Everyone would have wanted to see this reality clip with this guy playing, watch his eyes fall out of his head, and and there was a number of funny stories like that. But we laughed a lot through things. I mean, after the transplant, I had burns on my elbows and all down on my private area. I remember having one memory of waking up with just kneeling in the bed with blood going everywhere, and I had to my primary nurse, when you're that ill, you get looked after by the same person every day, and she had to put me in a salt bath every morning, and then dress my elbows and everything down there. And we got in, I was in so much pain. I was just delirious, endless, delirious, 24/7 pain that you could not escape. I wouldn't wish it on the worst war criminal that ever lived, or anybody. It was the worst torture. And so I was with Mel, my nurse. This is about 2 weeks after the bone marrow transplant, and she's about to put me in a bath. And I looked down. I said, "It's not doing very well, is it?" So we had a good laugh along the way. She was very good value. She was a great nurse.
Okay. That's all right. We'll cut to a commercial break right now. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, was that too M-rated,
That's all
Patricia?
right. We'll move right along.